This episode we are installing our tru-design seacocks to replace the old ones. So they're very cool ball valve design. Let's see if I can turn that, there we go. So you can open and close them. We've got the load bearing collar to help keep them nice and stable and secure. And as you can imagine, we're working in hot, tight, sweaty little places to get them in. So yeah, let's get started.
Mum and Dad were continuing on a tour of Mexico after Oaxaca, but we still had plenty of crew, with Will and Lena arriving from Germany to help us continue boat work. You'll all remember Will getting me out of a tight spot when my shaft seal needed changing back in Costa Rica. As an ex-boat builder, he's a good volunteer to have on board, and his girlfriend Lena is a hard worker too. You can follow their adventures on their channel Will, Lena, See.
You get to see the absolute chaos that is downstairs at the moment. It's actually a little neat-ish at the moment. Hey.
Hot as fuck?
Oh yeah, it's hot. Oh. What do you reckon?
Oh, nice.
And look at this.
Oh, that looks good.
Yeah, Dad did it. Okay, we have Easy Dex non-skid paint. 2 gallons of G-Flex epoxy, which I hope will be more than enough because there's a lot of epoxy. And in theory we have more than enough paint, but probably we use it cautiously anyway. Because every time we need more, it's like you have to order it from
Like
Zaragoza and it takes like 3. But that's one of the metal primers. We've got 2. Alright, so since we've got 4 people working on the boat, it's pretty important to kind of like delegate and figure out our tasks, otherwise we all end up on top of each other. But also because we only have like 1 certain speed drill, 1 little drill, 1 multi-tool, like so basically we can't do too many jobs at once. So to maximize our time, we have Will burring out the through holes that are a little bit too small to make them the right size, which you can hear him downstairs testing it now. Lena is cleaning the outside of the through holes to get any of the pitting and to get the aluminium nice and bright and shiny so we can then etch prime it, use the 5200 and stick the through holes in. And Jim and I are working on, as I explained earlier, how certain through holes are they're a bit fatter, so they're not actually fitting in a lot of the cabinetry that we've got, so we have to cut the cabinetry holes bigger. And there are particular areas where it's a 2-person job because we have like wires, pipes, through hull and about this much space to try and cut. So yeah, we'll all be tackling different jobs and hopefully getting the through holes sorted this week very soon, which would be great. As always, the job that I thought would take like 5 seconds and we just have to like put some 5200 on and slap them together has taken much longer, but that's boat jobs, so it's all good.
That's what I want to keep.
This one, I think we'll be able to turn the handle of the multi-tool and just get in there enough, at least for this bit, so it'll be a bit faster. This is the one that's going to be hard because it's right in the very corner and there's almost no space, so I don't think we're going to get the multi-tool in, and like 90% of our major electronics, including everything that goes from the battery to the switchboard, runs right next to it. So we really don't want to cut it if we can avoid it. And it's way down here, so it's really comfy to work on with 2 people.
You can actually take the handle off the through holes. However, in these tight spaces, I was worried about getting it back on again, so we opted to make sure we had plenty of space to turn them.
Also removing all that shitty old insulation that's getting in our way. Oh, that looks good, babe, thanks. See the aluminium piece? That's where I was like, under the wood at the very top, it's actually aluminium. Yeah.
Here?
Yeah, I was like, I hope it fits below that, but it just does, only just. Because cutting through that's not so fun. All right, so now that we've got the through holes cut to size, we need to do a dry fit. So we'll be poking these through the holes, screwing this down, and essentially what we're trying to determine is whether it's a nice snug fit to make sure we've cut them to the right length, but also we need to turn it so that this valve, the opening and closing handle, is in the right position, that it's not going to get stuck on any of the cabinetry or wires or pipes, so that we can open and close it properly. And then from the outside of the hull we can mark the top of the Thru-Hull, so essentially that when they're installed and we put them in with the 5200 so they're a permanent part of the hull, this should screw into place where we want it, theoretically. So that's what we're going to do. So Jim is marking the Thru-Hull in a way that when we go to fit it for the final time with the 5200, our little ball valve will actually be sitting perfectly where we want the handle. So this is going to be number 2. So he's going to put a 2 on it. And then he's going to mark where our little lines are so that we know. I would maybe even just mark both sides, babe, and that way, yeah. And then number 2. Cool, and then we know the 2 lines up with the 2 and we're all good. Thank you. Okay. I'm about to fit we're going to, well, just dry fit the Thru-Hull in the engine compartment. And it's a really good example of where we really need to make sure the handle is in a good, easily accessible spot, because if you look down there, there's not a huge amount of space between the wall and the Thru-Hull, and if obviously we turn it and the handle ends up being against the wall, it's going to make it very difficult every time we need to open and close this, which is one that we do open and close fairly frequently. So yeah, we just want to try and have the handle so he's either facing the front like this or the side, so I can very easily get my hand in and turn it on and off. I think Jim's ready. Yep. Babe, would you believe we got it first go?
What?
Would you believe we got it first go? It's perfect. I don't believe it. It is.
Can I mark it or do you have to adjust it all?
No adjustment needed. It's perfect. Cool. Easily accessible. That's a boat first, I think. Another trick when doing your handles like this is, obviously we're tightening them down, but you want to allow for the fact that the sealant may space it a little, but also that final tighten you do when you're really, turning it, it could be that you can get like another, say even, maybe not a quarter turn, but that you could turn it a little further once that Thru-Hull's in place. So you want to give yourself a little leeway that if it were to be like, say, I don't know, like 1/8 of a turn, a little off in either direction, that you're still going to have your handle in a place you can turn it. These Thru-Hulls are designed that you can ease them off up to 3mm, which is a fair bit to get the handle in the right place. But yeah, you want to allow for the fact that if it ends up being just a tiny bit tighter on that final fitting, that it's still going to be in a good position. But first go, first time every time. Yeah. So we've got the welders back on board because they fixed all of the pittings and cracks in that had eaten through, like all the corrosion, as you saw when we were fixing the hull. But we kind of came to the conclusion with the aluminium tanks, there's just absolutely no way that we can get in there and clean them properly out of those little portholes. So we're actually going to cut the whole tank lid off, and they're going to get in there and help us clean it out as well, weld any really big holes, and then we can start the G-Flex epoxy system to fix it properly. So yeah, getting more stuff done, more unexpected costs as always, and more jobs as always, which is part of being in the boatyard, but we're getting there slowly. I feel like I say that every episode. Hey! It's just that tiny little corner. Yay! I think there's water in the rudder. Wait, muchos agua. Yeah, it's a flood. See? Oh wow. It was the same as the keel. It's a lot of water.
Both the keel and the rudder had tiny cracks near the top, which allowed them to completely fill with water. After allowing them to drain completely, the welders cleaned and welded over each crack. The keel and rudder are lighter than ever before.
Well, with the sun setting over in the distance, the welders are packing up. They finished all the new holes we found and cracks, and they finished cutting out the water tank so that now we can begin the process of cleaning all the pitting out, sanding it all back to bare aluminium, etching it, filling it with epoxy, etc. So yeah, basically soon I'll have fiberglass tanks instead of aluminium pretty much. So the plan today is Lena's going to continue with the burring out of the holes in the hull so that we can eventually fill those and clean them properly and everything. Will is going to start looking at my little Yamaha engine and service that with his good mechanic brain, and Jim and I are finally, hopefully, going to have the through holes in the hull. That's the plan. We'll see if it all goes to plan. So basically what we're doing is using the stainless steel brush to kind of sand around the openings of the through holes so that when we put the sealant on it all sticks nicely. So yeah, we're just cleaning all that up now, and then we should be able to pop them through and start using the 5200 to stick them in. Alright, so we are going to line up all of the through holes and make sure that all the handles are in the correct position and mark it all on the outside of the hull, and then we can proceed to the next step.
How's it going? Uh-huh.
It is like, I might have to take this one off, babe, to be able to get in here properly because I've got like zero space. And when we put them on, we might have to do this one first because once this one's in, it's really hard. I've basically got to lie like on my side with my arm like in while holding it.
Uh-huh. And so what happened? It came on too tight and now it can't...
Yeah, now I can't undo it. Alright, that one is marked. Now only 4 more to go, and they're all in easier spots. That's the hardest part done.
Alright, I'm popping through number 8. Yeah. Okay, I got it.
Well, we have a slight situation. We bought all bar one through hull in Australia, and then the only one we ordered from the United States came with an NSP instead of BSP thread. And we've started hand tightening it, and it was getting harder and harder, and I said to Jim, I don't want to hand tighten this any further, like doing our dry fits, because I'm worried we're not going to be able to undo it. Sure enough, we can't undo it. It's completely stuck. We've got the tool on the outside trying to hold it in place, and it's just tearing the plastic. I've already, like, this bit's kind of broken off a little bit because I've been trying to turn it, and it is completely wedged in place. So we're going to have to write to the company and find out if there's a way to help get it off. Or so Jim is currently sanding, for example. And so we're essentially giving it one final sand, just to get the aluminium oxide layer off that forms within, I don't know, some, a few minutes basically. Some people say seconds, some people say minutes. And then we'll be giving it a quick wipe clean. I'll be applying the etch primer, which is a 2-part product. And then tomorrow we can then stick the through holes in. Except for this one, which is still stuck. And we're waiting to hear back from the companies as to what we can do about that. Hopefully not. I think we're going to just have to cut it off and get a new one. Oh, more delays. More delays. But that's okay.
I'm pretty sure I wasn't wearing a shirt.
You weren't wearing a shirt?
Yeah, no, I was shirtless.
I thought you might have been wearing that really thin, or maybe you were wearing the thin neck V.
No, maybe later, but originally I was shirtless and you were attracted to me from my muscles. Yeah, my glistening, sweaty muscles.
I definitely remember you being sweaty. Do I remember muscles?
Giant muscles.
Yes, giant muscles, I remember. Man, there's a bunch of stuff settled at the bottom of this. It's like really... No, I noticed you too. I thought, I wonder if that guy will come on my sailboat one day. So I'm mixing the paint because it's got like particulates in it, which are really, notice how they're settled at the bottom? I need to really mix them up. I'm hoping that's normal. God only knows how long this has been sitting at the paint store for.
And then you can isolate them.
Man, I'm good. A blind 10 mils.
Must be a doctor.
I must be a doctor, it's true. Alright. Then mix it up. So for epoxy type compounds, which is what I'm putting the 5200 category into, is you need to allow at least 8 hours dry time. So basically we're going to let this dry overnight, and then we have 48 hours to coat it. So tomorrow the plan is to put the 3M 5200 onto the through holes that we've prepped and put them in. So yeah, we're a little step closer. All right, well, it was a productive day. Lena continued doing the pitting, bearing out the pitting, which is good. She's been a real little trooper with that and just going at it. It's one of those jobs that's just going to take a very long time, and you just got to keep going every day doing little pits. So that's really good. And then Jim and I, most of the way through prepping for the through hulls, we hit a little snag with that one that is still stuck. We cannot get it out. So waiting to hear from the company on that, of what to do about it, hoping we can get a new one if we have to cut it out. So we'll see what happens. And yeah, we etch primed it. Tomorrow we'll be able to do the next step. And Will's been working on this companionway a bit. He's just fixing up some of the sliders and things, and also reinforced the stairs going down into the companionway so that we are at no risk of falling through, because one of them was getting awful loose. So yeah, it's been a good productive day all in all, even with a few little snacks. So today's plan, Will is going to service the little Yamaha 2.5 horsepower 4-stroke engine, and Lena's going to be helping him with that. And Jim and I are going to get these through holes stuck to Chuffed. So should be a good day, full of progress, I hope.
By using the 5200, we were making the through holes an integral part of the hull, as it is considered a permanent bonding agent. In an aluminium hull, composite plastic fittings are the only real option, as any metal fittings run the risk of eating the aluminium from around itself, especially brass fittings. 5200 is applied around the outside and inside of the hull to ensure a full seal is made, and it's a good idea to have the edges of the hole in your boat rounded to allow a gasket to form.
It's about to start, yep. You got it?
lined up, sealed.
Okay. Yep. That is the last one done. Oh, it feels good to have that job done. It's like been weeks in the making, it feels like, but whew. I think we need a little water break now. Alright, so basically now it's just waiting for the 5200 to cure. So in a couple of days we'll be able to put the ball valves on and then the through-hulls will be fitted. Except for this one, which we're going to try and get out again now, so we'll see what happens with that.
Well, on. There we go. Up. You keep holding it.
Oh my god.
Super fancy. Where's the will, there's the way.
Cool. Got it?
Woo! Well done, guys. Thank you.
Well, I was gonna have to get cut out for sure.
Wow, that's really good. All right, now we test it again and see what was going on, I guess.
So just
Wedge that in. Yep.
And then just angle it a bit.
Yep, and then you had the enough torque on it.
Leverage.
Oi. Oh, that's good. Well, I'm going to just test it in and out with my hands and see what's going on. Wow, after all that, typical Sheridan and Chuffed style. The reason that one got stuck was I put the wrong fucking thread in it, and which means one of the ones we just fit to the hull also is the wrong thread, and now we don't know. It's in the most critical position that if the handle doesn't line up, there's nothing we can do about it to open and close the seacock, so we're going to have to try and take it out and clean it and hope that we can get it clean enough to refit it. Dope. Go figure, it's the hardest bloody one that we messed up.
To explain my big blunder in a little more detail, I accidentally put the NSP threaded through hull with a BSP threaded nut and vice versa. So the one we'd put in earlier that day also had to be taken apart, cleaned, and both of them refitted. Oh well. Thankfully, the acetone worked really well to get the sticky, not yet dry 5200 off, and we realised right in the nick of time. We then sanded, prepped, painted, and reinstalled the two naughty through hulls that had gotten mixed up.
Well, the through hulls are in, and Will and Lena have successfully diagnosed and put most of the little engine back together. Got some, it's beer o'clock, and we are calling it a day.
Well, there you have it, the true story of the tru-design installation. I'll be making a shorter step-by-step without all of the mistakes for all you cruisers out there too, but maybe you learned something from this one. If it doesn't take 3 times as long and cost twice as much, it's not a boat job. Thank you all for your support throughout this epic project. Every day is a step closer, and I couldn't do it without you all. Until next time, stay chuffed everybody.